Azure Storage is Microsoft's cloud storage solution for modern data storage scenarios. It's massively scalable and cost-effectively. It is a collection of different services. Use the Blob Storage service to store massive amounts of unstructured data like text or binary files. Blob stands for Binary Large Object. But of course, you can store not only large files, you can also use Blob Storage to store small files. As the blobs can be accessed via HTTP and HTTPS, it's even possible to store static websites that don't need any server-side processing. These can be web applications built with popular client-side JavaScript frameworks like React or Angular. But in this course, we won't host a static website in Blob Storage. Instead, we store images and videos. Beside Blob Storage, Azure Storage contains a service called File Storage. File storage enables you to create network file shares that can be accessed by using the Server Message Block Protocol, or short SMB. This is not only powerful to share files with other people, but also to share files with read and write access between multiple virtual machines. The next service is Table Storage. Table Storage is a NoSQL database service. NoSQL means that there is no database schema like in a relational database. Instead, Table Storage provides a key-value store with a schema-less design. This makes Table Storage ideal to store structured, non-relational data. Note that Microsoft Azure has a premium offering for Table Storage, which is part of Azure Cosmos DB, the Azure Cosmos DB Table API. It provides additional features over Table Storage like global distribution and dedicated throughput worldwide. So, if you check out Table Storage, you might also want to check out Azure Cosmos DB Table API. Azure Storage contains also a service called Queue Storage. You can use Queue Storage to store and retrieve a large number of messages. Queue Storage can, for example, be used as a buffer between your clients and your backend. This allows your backend to process the messages from the queue at its own pace. Beside Queue Storage, Microsoft Azure contains several other messaging services like Azure Service Bus, Azure Event Hubs, and Azure Event Grid. When you plan to use messaging, you should check out these services as well. But Queue Storage is a great option to start with. It's simple to use, scalable, and cost-effective. To use any of these Azure Storage services that you see on this slide, you need to create an Azure Storage account. The storage account gives you access to the services and it lets you store up to 500 terabytes of data. If you need more than 500 terabytes in a single Azure Storage account, you should contact Azure Support. They can increase that limit up to 5 petabytes, or in other words, up to 5000 terabytes, which is 10 times more storage. But before you do this, it's good to know that you can create up to 200 storage accounts in your Azure subscription. And even this number can be increased by contacting Azure Support. So, you see, the volume of data that you can store with Azure Storage is massive. That's why the services like Blob Storage are used quite often in big data scenarios. And on the other side, the costs are quite low, which makes the services also great to use for scenarios with small data volumes. The services and the data stored in your storage account are accessible via REST APIs. You can use HTTP and HTTPS. There are also client libraries for different platforms like .NET, Java, C++, Python, Node.js, and others. And beside the Azure portal, you can also use different tools to access your storage account, like for example the Azure Command Line interface or the standalone application Azure Storage Explorer. Now, as you know, this course is about Blob Storage. And to use Blob Storage, the first thing you need to do is to create an Azure Storage account. So let's create one.